Welcome dear learners. We are going to deal the ethnography in detail in order to understand the concept of doing ethnography. In this lecture, a general outline for ethnography, ethnography and its content, history of ethnography in brief manner, the new term of visual ethnography, ethnography as analytical tool and ethical stands in ethnography are dealt in this lecture. As an objectives of the lecture, learners will enable to understand the practice of doing ethnography and to understand at the same time demand the learners in various school of thoughts of engaging for the discussion and to take active part in the course of doing as well as writing ethnography. Shall we go to the topic? It was part of the study as a recognized field of study in 1840s in American and European school of thought. Sociologists use the term organization very broadly to refer to any system that governs social life and behavior. The word is more specifically used to refer to formal bureaucratic institutions like schools and police stations. Some formal organization handle clients with their prime aim being the administration of people and their needs. There are others who are involved in the management of work such as factories where the task itself serves as the main objective. People who work for formal organization in the first scenario still perceive it as work, but this professional entails managing others in semi-environments. However, this lecture will concentrate on doing ethnography and scholars who are associated with the work. Ethnographic research has significantly contributed to research on organization in both loose and strict senses. Ethnography is a style of research rather than a particular methodology and employs a number of data collections method. Let's now look about the topic. Ethnography is the study of specific nuances as opposed to general principles. Another school of sociology known as theoretical sociology focuses more on the nuances of culture. This study of local culture or local intricacies is known as ethnography. It is another branch of sociology works with universal rules because ethnographers conduct field work and leave their regular office. Some people mistakenly associate ethnography with field work while overseeing, monitoring and analyzing large scale service from the office and writing first-rate reports from there. One can construct mathematical and analytical model simulation models while seated in office. However, ethnography entails leaving the office and traveling into the field to study people. It also refers to the process of personally observing a group's or community's behavior. One cannot designate research assistants to do this. Instead, ethnographers prefer to study communities in concern. The term ethnography field methods, qualitative analysis, participant observations, case study, realistic methods and responsive evaluation are frequently interchangeable. Ethnography also includes the production of written descriptions of what is observed. Therefore, there is more than one type of ethnography. Individuals who are known as ethnographers employ a wide range of methods in their research, but in every case it entails separating oneself from the population. The next subsegment is in this lecture ethnography as field of study. In order to study small localized cultures, British anthropologists traveled to Asia, Africa and Latin America. However, later on some ethnographers also studied their own cultures. Indian ethnographers who had received training in the ethnographic method, term coined in the West and America and Europe, also decided to study their own culture. The majority of the cultures studied by Indian ethnographers are their own. Indian tribal communities were studied by ethnographers who all looked at their outsiders. Indian ethnographers have traditionally studied tribal communities Although ethnographers from the American and European school of thought and France have also studied tribal communities both abroad and within their own countries. Today's ethnographers not only study peasant societies but also groups of particular interest such as disaster affected areas, the sexual meanings of factory workers, commercial weight loss groups, software workers, doctors and surgeons in hospitals, high risk groups, etc. We will discuss the problem that when studying people at the grassroots level, there are some ethical and moral dilemmas and we must be the cause of them. They also study social movements by joining social movements, and in this process they confront a lot of ethical and moral dilemmas. Ethnography is the core modern research method used in sociology, anthropology and other cultural studies. Ethnography is the case study of the culture, subculture or microculture. It includes to look in the following themes. One is environmental, geography, climate, settlement, material culture, family system, marriage, shelter, their life cycle ceremonies, child rearing in a culture, acculturation, people's psyche, bride wealth or bride price, taboo, economy, production, division of labor, distribution system, consumption, exchange, political systems, crafts, power, social systems, customary law, religion, ritual, deity, magic, witchcraft, festivals, music, folk games, aesthetic thought of folk group and folklore, and so many things. Visual ethnography is a new arrival in the academic field. It includes the production and use of images and audio-visual media in the socio-cultural practices, digital cultures, contemporary art and anthropology and or sociology of art, vision and observation, senses and culture, objects, design, architecture and anthropology and other cultural elements, bodies and places in an anthropological perspective, theories and methods in anthropology and culture. Dear learners, we will move to the next part, history of ethnography. In the history of ethnography, the participant observation is very important, which propounded by Malinowski in 1914, research done among Trobriand Islanders, the first researcher to clearly articulate the methodology of fieldwork. The idea of function of an institution, which means within social structure, it was said by Ratcliffe Brown. Scholar Durkheim says, social facts are external to individuals and exert pressure on them. Franz Boas, a modern anthropologist, believes that cultures do not evolve from one another but evolve separately from each other into other cultures. Malinowski advocated the use of charts and tables in analysis using descriptions of everyday actions to understand societies. Notes and Queries on Anthropology by Royal Anthropological Society from 1874 to 1951 in a 6th edition. Circular by Louis Henry Morgan in 1862, published by Smithsonian Institution. The next scholar, Margaret Mead, advocated the use of participant observation. Ethnography versus ethnology. There are some terms which look very similar to ethnography, like ethnology. Is it the same thing as ethnography, more or less? The answer is yes. Ethnology may be defined as historical and comparative analysis of cultures based on ethnographic accounts, the latter being produced by travelers and missionaries. So, ethnographic accounts were produced more by travelers, missionaries, administrators, and on the basis of their records, one makes a comparative study of two or more cultures, then it becomes ethnology. There is very close connection, or one can even say that ethnology is the same thing as ethnography. For Speyer, ethnology is the descriptive branch of ethnography, and ethnography may be seen as both a method. As a method, it implies fieldwork, case studies, observations, and is a product Product means the outcome of the research, the report, final report, that is also called ethnography. Ethnography may be seen as both a method of inquiry in sociology and as the finished product or the final research report or the book or working papers means communication based on ethnographic research. The next question is it the same thing as ethnomethodology? Then the answer is no. Ethnomethodology is, some of may remember, we discussed ethnomethodology and referred to Garfunkel experiments. Ethnomethodology is the study of methods. Ethno means, as we all know, culture or people, folk, and methodologies. Ethnography as analytical tool. Ethnography is an active enterprise. It is a research product. In ethnography, images are as individual as sounds, smells, textures, and taste, words, or any other aspect of culture and society. And it includes visual ethnography, the use of image to study society, the sociological study of images. Visual ethnography's scope is wide ranging to investigate the gestures, facial expression, spatial aspects of behavior and interaction. Images are ever present in society, which means the visual representation. Through images or videos, socio-cultural insight which cannot be accessible by any other means, symbolic indicators. Another interesting thing in ethnography is that the elements such as language, literature, culture are always get changed in a society. Anthropology or sociology looks in deeper into those elements with the concern of evolution of culture, diffusion, fusion, acculturation or enculturation. The next important things in while doing or writing ethnography, the challenges. The following are identified as challenges in doing ethnography. Very time consuming, completely reliant on the individual researcher or a small team. Difficult to gain full access, difficult to achieve objects distance and the danger of going native. Reporting findings and the role of interpretations. The next important thing is ethical dilemmas of participation. Ethnography in ethical point of view. The unique methodological features of ethnography, however, are that the ethnography would be used more for unstructured problems. Participant observations, linking observation with interviewing, and in ethnography methodology evolves with work plurality of applied methods are used. So, an ethnographer starts working and in the field as more and more data have come, as his understanding of people has matured, he can change his method, he can add new methods to his field work. Initially, he may think that it will be enough to go for participants' observations, but then he may decide that no use of interviews, qualitative interviews or questionnaire or sometime even structured interview schedules can help. So, he would like to include these methods also in his ethnographic work. Ethnography itself guides researcher because when ethnographer moves to the field, he does not know much about the field, and ethnographer's research is ethnography itself guides the researcher into what tools and techniques, qualitative methods, quantitative methods, case studies, observations, what method should be used. Unspecified research attitude instead of using specific methods is recommended by Flick. So, again conveying the same idea that we begin with issues and open mindedness regarding methodologies, methods, analysis, reports, etc. are settled during the process of research itself. In a nutshell, we can put it like this: permission and the right to photograph, video at public events, representation and permission to publish, giving something back to the society, which means the studied group, ownership of research materials. To sum up this lecture, ethnographic involves the study of groups and people as they go about their everyday lives. Carrying out such study involves two distinctive activities. First, the ethnographer moves or enters into a social settings and gets to know the people involved in it. Usually, the setting is not previously known in an intimate way. The ethnographer participates in the daily routines of the settings, develops ongoing relations with the people in it, and observes all the while what is going on. Indeed, the term participant observation is often used to characterize this basic research approach. But second, the ethnographer writes down in regular systematic ways what observes and learns while participating in the daily rounds of the lives of others. In so doing, the researcher creates an accumulating written record of these observations and experiences. These two interconnected activities comprise the core of ethnographic study. And also, ethnographer inscribes social discourse. He or she writes it down, taken from Geeds in 1973. Traditionally, the visual forms produced by anthropological or sociological subjects had been conducted under the label of art. But in recent decades, ethnographers have given serious consideration to using images to enhance understanding of human conditions. The usage of images not only as representation of the objective of the word, but also to communicate thick description, thick interpretation and thick meaning. Dear learners, so far we have dealt with ethnography as an overview to look into deeper. We have seen a general outline for ethnography and its content, history of ethnography in a brief manner, the new term of visual ethnography as analytical tool and ethical stance in ethnography. I hope you all must have enjoyed the session and it may have enriched the knowledge on doing ethnography. Dear learners, thank you.